Ravens still at 2.5 at the Superbook, but John Murray and Derek Wilkins over there, they both said, hey, we really like the Chargers here. Wouldn't be surprised to see this come down to pick, maybe even flip. They actually discussed opening like a pick or -1 Ravens as opposed to 2.5, and they think they'll get there. There hasn't made a movement yet.
See, that's good information.
-6 is just sitting there.
Well, that's good information for anybody who's considering the Chargers. In other words, if you like the Chargers, you better go get them now.
Yes. I think that's how they feel behind the counter. They feel like they should get them early. And Jeff Stone back at MGM also said, look, I'm expecting Chargers money here.
And the Bears line's going up, which surprises me. Is that expected to continue? Because I thought, boy, the former champs getting points is going to be attractive, especially with them coming in hot. But Bears money has shown so far.
Yeah, it's interesting because a couple of the sportsbook guys are like, I'm not so sure that the Bears did the right thing last weekend.
Really?
So they could have had Minnesota come into their stadium outdoors, maybe be freezing cold, who knows. And instead they're taking the team playing with house money that's a defending Super Bowl champ. But that said, the Superbook opened 4.5, got all the way up to 6, a little bouncing back and forth, 6, 5.5, definitely on the rise. I'm not sure if it'll go much higher than that, but
I can't see it.
But boy, I know a lot of people are talking about how they feel like there's value with Philly this week.
You want value. 2019 it covers. 2018 was absolutely fantastic. What's in store for the brand new year at covers.com?
Well, we'll keep rolling out a bunch of great content. Obviously, in the near term, we'll have plenty of great stuff coming up this weekend on the playoffs and the college football championship game on Monday night. And, of course, we've got some great promotions, including continuing our promotion for new people interested in Covers Experts, which you and Teddy are involved with, of course. If you want to get some skin in the game and don't have time to do the research, you can go to Covers Experts and get 50% off your first purchase using the promo code ESPN Covers, ESPN Covers. So that can help you out. And, again, we'll be rolling out a lot of great stuff all year long, but certainly over the next couple of weeks to set you up for the college football championship game and all these NFL playoff games coming up.
New contests, I assume, also getting underway with the start of a new month.
You bet. Always good contest stuff. Check all those things out, Streak Survivor and all the other contests we run that are all free and just things where you can have a lot of fun and maybe win some really cool prizes. No question.
Safe travels, Patrick.
You betcha. You guys take care. Happy New Year.
Patrick Everson. Follow him on Twitter at _Vegas. Time for us to start checking out tonight's action. We'll do that with the M.J. Christensen Diamonds 4 at 4.
1, 2, 3 into the 4.
Put them fours up. Put the fours up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sportsline's 4 at 4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Unbelievable.
And we get things started in college basketball. Conference play is underway. This is the real season in college basketball getting started now. Lots of exciting matchups, lots of rivalries, and these are the games that really matter. I know that they don't play an exhibition season in college basketball, but pre-conference, a lot of coaches do experimenting with rotation. They stop doing that when conference games begin, and these are the games that create the most attention as far as betting is concerned and also as far as rivalries go and really meaningful games as far as at-large seeding and stuff like that for the NCAA tournament. And here's a good example right off the top is the Nebraska-Maryland game tonight. These are two teams that will be in the hunt for NCAA at-large berths. I don't think either one's going to win the Big Ten, and that means that a game like this, Teddy, is really important to these two teams. Nebraska looks like a talented squad. The question is, can they prove themselves on the Big Ten road?
Well, I mean, we're seeing heavy money coming in on Maryland. Nebraska opened a 1-point favorite. Now we're seeing the Terps in the -2, -2.5 range as we speak. And they're going against, the money's coming against not one of the best point spread team in college basketball over the last 2 years. Nebraska, an absolute monster a season ago. This year, they're already 9-2-1 against the spread. There literally has been no team in college basketball better for your bankroll than a Nebraska Cornhuskers. And it's every roll. Road dog, road favorite, home dog, home favorite, over and over. I stepped in front of Nebraska once this year saying, the markets have to have caught up with them already. No, they haven't. They haven't, and the money continues to come against them. Today, I won't bet against Nebraska. They're absolute ATS juggernaut, and when you find teams like this, you ride them until they die, and they've been cashing tickets for a year and a half now.
Crazy game over the weekend. St. John's at Seton Hall. finish in the game was absolutely absurd. St. John's appeared to have gotten hosed by the officials. And that was verified because the Big East has come out and said, yeah, the officials got it wrong at the end of the game. Sorry, St. John's, you got a loss anyway. A fortunate win for the Seton Hall Pirates. And sometimes I like to go against teams off a game like that. But I'm just not buying Xavier. The Musketeers are not what they've been this season, and I think they're going to take some lumps in the Big East. They might not get killed in games, but I think they're an NIT team. This is not going to be a Xavier squad that ends up back in the NCAA tournament. Seton Hall had to replace some really good pieces from last year. Really only one star holdover in Powell, he's a fantastic player. But Willard's starting to put the pieces around him in place. Seton Hall looks like a team today that I think is going to get better as the season progresses.
Yeah, I'm not as down on Xavier necessarily as you are. I mean, look, Chris Mack, when you talk about a coach that meant something to a program, that's a coach that meant something to the program. And obviously, the first year without him, Travis Steele taking over. The number one thing I was looking for Xavier from the get-go is what kind of defense they're going to play. And you know what? They had some early season struggles. You look at the last 5 games, holding foes under 40% shooting, under 30% from three-point range. That's the Musketeer defense that maybe wasn't there in November. It's rolling around now, and that makes me a little bit less inclined to bet against Xavier. Although, when it comes to free throw shooting, Seton Hall with a significant advantage. And that can matter in point spread ranges like this one.
Unhappy days in Morgantown. Their head coach in football leaves.
For Houston.
I still think Houston. I know they got turned down last time, but they're spending a fortune, and they're going to get in the Big 12. They have to get in the Big 12. How can you leave a market like that? And no offense to the American Athletic Conference fans out there, but it's the American Athletic Conference, okay? Houston is too big to be in that conference. So Holgerson leaves. West Virginia football program might be in for a downturn next year, as expected. The West Virginia basketball program, and look, it's a solid program, and as long as Bob Huggins is there, it'll remain solid. But this figured to be a season where they'd be in a little bit of transition, and it might be fair to say it's turned out to be worse than expected. It's been a struggle for the Mountaineers so far. The Betters certainly taking a strong stance on this game as they're firing on former UNLV coach. I always say that.
He was.
Well, he was. Chris Beard takes Texas Tech in. And the Red Raiders are a team that a lot of people are talking about as a team that could be hanging around on Final Four weekend. Boy, they tough defensively. They are bombing Texas Tech at the windows today.
Yeah, I mean, if Manny Diaz gets to be the former Temple coach, Chris Beers gets to be the former UNLV coach.
And we had him for longer than Temple had Diaz.
Yeah, exactly. But, we just talked, obviously, about Xavier's defense. Texas Tech's defense, literally second to none in the country.
It is really
number
something.
2 in the country number 1 in the, I forget if it's number 1 or number 2 in effective field goal percentage, 2-point shooting percentage allowed, 3-point shooting percentage allowed, and points per game allowed. When you're number 1 or number 2 in all 4 of those categories,
that's pretty impressive.
That's really impressive. And but the money's coming in based on Sagaba Konate, I think. There was some talk that he was going to play tonight. It does not look like he's going to play tonight. In fact, the latest I saw was that he's going to be out until late January. Ooh. So the initial he's going to play. And of course, Konate is their defensive low post stud. He blocks shots. He's their leading shot blocker, leading rebounder, an impactful player. They have not played particularly well with him off the floor, and the market's certainly reacting to that with all the Red Raiders money.
Those are all four games, but we've got one that starts later because we like to talk about the local schools, and the school to the north is a Final Four contender this year. They're that good with all these graduate transfers. I think the average age on Nevada is like 30. Actually, literally, it is more than 23. They're like the oldest team in college basketball, and that is a dangerous veteran squad. But they could have their hands full tonight. Utah State is impressed so far. They're doing a good job. They're really good on the glass. This was a terrific hire they made. Big upgrade from Duryea as the head coach with Craig Smith. And I think Utah State, at least for a half, is going to give Nevada a game tonight.
No, Utah gave Nevada a game for a half. Yeah. And then you saw what happened in the second half. On the road in Salt Lake City. Didn't matter. Of all the games, the Wolfpack have impressed me a couple of times this season, but the game at Utah, where, not that Utah's great this year, But there's, Nevada, they're laying 10 at the open, down to 7 or 6.5 at the close. The money pours in on Utah. Utah battles them and all said and done, Nevada makes shots. That team simply has shot makers, and I don't know how else to describe it. I'm not inclined to step in front of them, although, they haven't been great home favorites of late. They didn't cover against Akron. They didn't cover against, was it San Diego State? Was that San Diego State or was it South Dakota State? I don't remember. SD State.
I think it was.
I'm trying to remember the game. I don't remember it offhand.
But they've been following a similar pattern, which is that they
South Dakota State
kind of screw around for a half and then just say, okay, we've had enough, get out of here.
Yeah, and that's, when you have that level of talent, I'm in no rush to bet against the Wolfpack. I'm really not.
Let's check out a little NBA that wraps up the 4 at 4. And by the way, don't forget MJ Christensen. Look, their great prices on designer jewelry didn't just take place during the Christmas season. You could still get in and get some phenomenal deals. Take a look at the pre-owned Rolexes with all the pedigree papers and stuff like that to show you that's the real thing. That is a watch that keeps on increasing in value, and you can get certified pre-owned watches from Rolex at MJ Christensen. A wealth of things to check out at their store at Boca Park, online at mjchristensen.com, or visit them or friend them, I should say, on Facebook to get more exclusive deals from a family-owned business that's been around for 3/4 of a century, and they do an absolutely great job. And you won't feel like a customer when you're in there. You'll feel like part of the family at MJ Christensen. NBA, tonight we've got a doubleheader. Wolves and Celtics. Thunder and Lakers, obviously, there are a lot more games. That's the TV doubleheader. So let's look at those for a quick moment. Look, the Timberwolves are kind of okay. But I think when it's all said and done, they're going to miss the playoffs, Teddy.
Me too.
The Celtics will not miss the playoffs, obviously.
No. The Celtics are the team to beat in the East. And they haven't played like it, and they may not play like it. It may be post-All-Star break. Kyrie Irving's not going to go tonight for Boston. They've certainly been dealing with their fair share of injuries. And it's not just the injuries. It's guys who are shuttling in and out of the lineup. You have them for a couple of games, and you don't. And I think Brad Stevens had a fairly hard time establishing his rotations this season, and we're really seeing it on the defensive end. They just give up $120 to San Antonio. This Spurs hit everything in that ball game, which is not what we're used to seeing out of Boston. And for what it's worth, Minnesota is playing defense. Of course, Minnesota has
their coach. That kind of is supposed to happen.
Sure, but it's 4 years later.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but it's not like the T-Wolves don't have their own injury concerns. Doesn't look like Derrick Rose is going to go tonight. Doesn't look like Jeff Teague is going to go tonight. So we have both teams missing point guards, which may bode well for underbettors.
And, we know of an important player still sitting out for the Lakers. But that's not going to stop the bettors from moving forward at the windows. They are pounding the Lakers so far this season. And with a lot of good results, actually. Lakers hosting the Thunder tonight in what I guess is an NBA marquee matchup, at least from a betting standpoint here in Las Vegas.
I think it's a marquee. Both of these teams, as I've said a couple times on this show already, I believe the Lakers will be a top 4 team by the end of the season. The Thunder are there already, So we're talking about two teams that are poised to win a playoff series this year, not just to reach the postseason. Now, obviously, you're playing without LeBron,
right?
For L.A. We let them have a nice win over Sacramento the other night. Now, a lot of that was the Kings choking it away. Which Sacramento's, oh my God, I had them yesterday. Dude, they're up 9 with 3 minutes to go. They couldn't lose that. They're up 101 to 92 with like 2. They literally they have to miss every possession, and the other team has to score every possession, which is exactly what happened. Game goes into overtime, and that was that. The point is, I don't give the Lakers full credit for that. That was at least some Sacramento melting down. And prior to that, without LeBron, obviously they'd had their fair share of troubles. I can understand why OKC is a road chalk here. That team's playing good basketball, a scary team to step in front of.
How important, when it comes to breaking down the wild card weekend games, how important is regular season strength of schedule? Teddy's going to tell you about that next.
the Las Vegas Sports Line.
Everyone knows that even good people fall on hard times. Your credit cards get maxed out, and you get behind on your taxes. Unfortunately, the IRS is not as understanding, and they won't stop until they collect. They have the power to take your paycheck, freeze your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk. It's simply not worth it to take on the IRS by yourself. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. When you call, be sure to ask about the